For attractive women, is this, like, how big of a concern is sexual harassment? Like, none of you guys are working with Harvey Weinstein out here, but is it actually common for attractive women to actually be harassed in the workplace?
I would say yes.
Really?
Yeah. But with a caveat that it depends on the woman's comfort level, because harassment is subjective. So, for example, if you're sending me explicit messages, like, yes, that's a clear delineation of sexual harassment. But my brother actually had an instance where he was pulled into an HR situation, and he had just put his hand on the back of his assistant and said, can you tell them that I need 5 more minutes, like, to go tell the new clients, like, just give me a second. And that
innocent,
was
like, just
right?
Like, hey,
yeah. So that was an incident. So I think it really just depends on what you deem sexual harassment, and I feel for guys sometimes, because how do you know where that line is? I don't know. That's subjective.
The poetic irony of the Me Too movement coming full circle, because nothing screams progress like women accidentally turning themselves into workplace kryptonite. According to a soon-to-be-published study in organizational dynamics, a solid 27% of men are now swerving solo meetings with female colleagues like they're dodging a live grenade. One-on-one meetings with women? Oh no. That's basically the corporate version of wandering into a haunted house. You never know if you'll walk out with your career intact or become a cautionary HR tale. Boo. And let's not forget the comedic twist. This whole circus was supposed to empower women in the workforce, right? Instead, it's turned professional interactions into a high-stakes game of Minesweeper, where one wrong move could blow up a guy's livelihood. Funny how fighting harassment has morphed into men taking the better safe than sorry approach, by simply not engaging at all. Progress, they say? Sure, if progress means polite paranoia and networking opportunities drying up faster than a California drought, bravo.
And when folks say things like, believe all women, I have a question, why? Really, why? Because I am inclined to believe stories of sexual abuse, I really am. But when folks say believe all women, you can't believe all women any more than you can believe all men or believe any other group of people. And to suggest that women are inherently more believable than men is sexist. To say that men don't deserve the same due process as women is sexist. And I believe that men shouldn't act like pigs. I've been only advocating this since I was a teenager. I'm the only man in America who was a virgin until I was married and proud of it. I've been advocating for a higher standard of traditional behavior on the part of men, literally my entire public career. But that doesn't mean that you get to carve out a section of crimes that don't require evidence.
The plot twist nobody asked for. Women's good looks have officially become a liability in the job market. Yep, 29% of men are now hesitant to hire attractive women, because God forbid beauty and competence exist simultaneously without some guy thinking it's a lawsuit waiting to happen. And as for roles requiring close interaction like business travel, 41% of men are skittish about hiring women altogether. Business class just got a whole lot lonelier, I guess. But here's the punchline. Back in 2018, when Me Too was at fever pitch, only 15% of men were hesitant to hire women for jobs with interpersonal contact. Fast forward to 2019, and suddenly that number's at 21%. Guess what the number is in 2025? Almost 43%. What changed? Fear, laziness, or maybe just a convenient excuse? Women wanted their voices heard, and they got it. But now they're stuck with corporate dudes treating them like ticking HR time bombs. What's next? Women showing up to interviews in burlap sacks with a legal waiver in hand? Stay tuned. This sitcom writes itself.
Tonight, one retired CEO is speaking out about why he thinks this might end up having the wrong effect on women in the workforce.
Steve, Tricia, well, this new wave of women standing up against sexual misconduct has led to all sorts of changes. But tonight, one CEO believes it may be preventing women from getting the jobs they want.
From the entertainment industry to the gaming world, women everywhere are standing up against sexual misconduct in the workplace.
It's a new day. It is the era of the woman now.
The latest case has brought this movement right to the Las Vegas Strip. Casino mogul Steve Wynn stepping down as CEO yesterday after allegations he sexually assaulted employees. But is time really up?
I have a big concern, and it's What's going to happen in hiring going forward?
Mark Yosoloff is the director of UNLV's School of Gaming and Innovation and hired hundreds of men and women as former CEO of Shufflemaster. He says this movement will make it tougher for women to get hired, especially when they're up against a qualified man.
They might elect to hire the man because they are concerned that down the road, whether they do anything wrong or not, there might be a she said, he said.
Yosoloff says current CEOs he knows have already opted not to sit in meetings alone with women in fear they would do something to spark a complaint.
It's a craziness that no executive wants to have to.
We've reached the grand finale of irony, haven't we? What was supposed to be a movement to empower women has turned into a never-ending witch hunt with pitchforks and HR memos at the ready. And here's the kicker. When men try to tiptoe through this circus to avoid accusations, they get dragged for it anyway. Why? Because apparently some women only want certain men sticking around. You know, the right ones. But plot twist. Even those decent guys have seen the writing on the wall and are sprinting for the door like their job depends on it, which frankly it does. Congratulations, society. You wanted accountability, and now you've got networking events that look like segregated high school dances. Bravo, the Drama Olympics.
Now, here's a quick one about a gal who she, as well as her female coworkers, are having a meltdown because a guy at work isn't paying attention to them. And as I say, women, they need attention and validation the same way plants need sunlight and water, and how if a guy rejects them, either rejects their advances, doesn't pay attention to them, they lose their freaking minds. Title: A colleague at work, a 27-year-old male of 1 year, refuses to socialize with me, a 24-year-old female, or any of the women in our office. Oh, the travesty. There are plenty of other horrible things going on in the world, but nothing is as horrible as a guy, God forbid, not paying attention to you and your friends. She says here, "Hi all. I'm posting this on alternative site because I know a few of my friends are following me on here, and I don't want this spilling out until I have some clear thoughts on what I want to do." Oh, you're trying to say you don't want any drama because something tells me you like drama. So early last year, our firm hired Dan, a 27-year-old male. In the first few weeks, he was really quiet and didn't talk much, and that's just how we thought he was. Every conversation with him was short and to the point and never deviated from work, aside from pleasantries, have a nice weekend, etc. About 2 months ago, he started becoming a bit more friendly with the guys in our office, and they would hang out every so often after work and have normal conversations. Isn't it interesting that she and her friends are really paying close attention to what this guy's doing? However, whenever any of the girls in the office tried to do so, he would quickly change the conversation back to just work or not reply. Even now, after a year of Dan working with us, he straight up refuses to socialize with the girls in the office, and he's making them feel uncomfortable. Now he's the bad guy. He's making us feel uncomfortable. Maybe he's sticking to business. Maybe he's worked at a place where the girls act like it's high school and wants nothing to do with that. Or maybe he's become very RP'd, understands about MG Tau, things like that, knows the Mike Pence rule, and he's doing that for a good reason. But he's making you uncomfortable. He avoids any discussion of himself outside of work-related events and future plans and doesn't ask any of the girls either. Aware as he is, what can I only assume, pretty good friends with the guys in the office. Even on work meals out to celebrate events, he's only doing the bare minimum when it comes to conversation with the girls, where again with the guys, he talks to them like there is no problem whatsoever. I don't know if I'm overreacting. You sure about that? But one of the girls is considering going to HR about this because she is saying it's creating a hostile work environment. Dan treats us like he treats clients we work with, cordial and strictly about business, and it's wearing thin now. Any advice is appreciated. Okay, she asked for advice, so I'll give some advice. You and your friends need to grow the F up. You're 24 years old, so I'm assuming all the female coworkers are probably in the 20s. We all know what generation they're in between the Z-tards and the millennials, and she's certainly behaving like a bunch of Z-tards and millennials. Your work is a place of business to earn a paycheck to pay for your living expenses or to build a career, not high school. but she's acting like it's high school. If this guy doesn't want to talk to you, that's his business. He probably has experience where BS goes on, gossiping and drama and turmoil, which you're creating drama, and wants nothing to do with it. And given how you're acting here and saying that it's a unpleasant work environment or some BS like that and thinking about going to HR, gee, you wonder why he doesn't want to talk to you. Problem is this: you can't handle the fact that a guy doesn't want to pay attention to you, that a guy isn't flirting with you, asking you out and all that, and it's driving you freaking crazy.
Here we have a gold medal contender, a woman who quit her job over harassment. Naturally, you're thinking, oh no, was it something vile? Nope. Turns out the harassment was just a guy sending her an email politely asking if she wanted to grab a coffee. Scandalous, right? The sheer audacity of this man, daring to wonder if she was single. What is this, madmen? Sure, maybe it wasn't the slickest move, but a company-wide public shaming? Seriously? Imagine getting someone's professional head on a spike over caffeine-related curiosity. Overreaction much? I guess we're now living in a world where even polite interest is a career-ending offense. Coffee is apparently code for chaos these days.
Earlier this year, I had the displeasure of dealing with a female coworker harassing a male coworker. A male subordinate comes to me to report the female subordinate. She decided that she wanted his opinion on fellatio techniques. She asked him because he's openly gay. I went with him to HR to report. HR calls everyone involved to get their side. At this point, the female employee realizes the male employee snitched and begins bad-mouthing him. HR hands down punishment based on zero tolerance policy. 3 days unpaid suspension for the male victim, but only 1 day unpaid suspension to the female employee because she's pregnant and we can't cause too many problems. The male employee came back from suspension with legal representation. The female employee came back and all the male employees avoided her and any situation where they would need to be alone with a female employee.
Welcome to the Twilight Zone, where asking someone for coffee is now basically treason. Congrats, folks. Instead of fostering workplaces where genuine human connections might thrive, we've built paranoia factories where men break into a cold sweat over whether a polite invite will have HR slapping them with a pink slip. Bravo. This is what happens when common sense gets tossed out the window and outrage culture takes the wheel. Spoiler alert, no one's getting promoted, just panicked. So here we are, living in the fallout women largely orchestrated for themselves. The push to turn every awkward social interaction into a federal case has created exactly the kind of sterile, paranoid workplace they now lament. You wanted hypervigilance? Well, you got it. Men aren't just cautious. They're flat out avoiding women like the office printer that's constantly jammed. And honestly, who can blame them? It's poetic justice, really. Women demanded change, but instead of fostering respect, they made men terrified of normal human interactions. Now they sit puzzled, wondering why mentorship is drying up, networking opportunities are vanishing, and those informal coffee chats that pave the way to promotions are off the table. Actions have consequences, and this one's all on them. Looks like the corporate feminist utopia is eating itself alive. Here's a snarly little truth bomb. When you make the workplace a legal minefield where one misplaced glance or casual coffee invite can trigger a social media expose, men aren't just backing off, they're strategically opting out. Why take the risk? Better to mentor another guy, hire someone less litigious, and save yourself the PR nightmare. The inevitable consequence? Women will slowly but surely find themselves pushed out of the very spaces they fought tooth and nail to enter. Goodbye networking dinners, mentorships, and promotions over casual conversations. Hello isolation in HR-approved safe zones. Companies are already hedging their bets. No close quarters travel with female colleagues, fewer one-on-one meetings, and a general thanks but no thanks attitude toward hiring women for roles that require interpersonal interaction. Here's the kicker. When women complain that they're being excluded, it's going to fall on deaf ears. Why? Because this is exactly the environment they built with their outrage on tap culture. You can't have it both ways. Demand to be treated like ticking time bombs, and don't be shocked when people start steering clear altogether. And that's it for today on Sigma Traits. Make sure you hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, and don't forget to ring that notification bell. Support this channel through membership. You can also support through PayPal link in the description. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. See you all tomorrow.